4 Bitcoin and 1,000 Sol in the cold wallet. Best place to stake Sol. Lots of questions about staking Sol. Interesting. Historically, I've been my own custodian for crypto. I get phishing texts and emails daily. Yeah, and phone calls and all that terrible stuff. The scammers are really, really ramping up. Everybody careful out there. If I sell Bitcoin and put proceeds into a Bitcoin ETF, the tax consequences of the sale are substantial. If I wait for Bitcoin to double, the tax consequences are double. What is the cost-benefit analysis selling Bitcoin and buying the ETF equivalent versus continuing to self-custody? This is, again, a lot of questions here. I'm going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. First of all, so many places to stake Solana. Just Google it. Google top validators. Google, what are some of the other key places? Go to Solana Beach or stakingrewards.com and you'll find some of the good places. And remember, mix it up, place it all around, like 10% here, 10% there, etc. That's always safer. And remember also there's a lockup period for stake Solana, about 2 to 4 days, a cool down. So plan your liquidity. Next, self-custody Bitcoin, pros and cons. And I hear you. A lot of people have moved to the ETFs. I saw this early on with on-chain data. I was wondering why people were selling, long-term holders selling before the halving. And my theory was they were moving to the ETF for safety. But it's always good to have some cold storage Bitcoin. You got full control. You have this concept called go bag. So if anything really does go wrong in your country, you have the ability to up and leave and still own your possessions like Bitcoin. And a cold wallet also mitigates phishing risk. And the simple rule how not to get scammed is don't give anything to anybody. Don't click on any links. Be careful, but they're getting very pushy these days. Now, the cons, of course, self-custody. You got to be responsible. And one single mistake, poof, is all gone. So there is a lot of worry there. Now, regarding taxes, whether sooner or later, it's actually an interesting factor because I did some calculations myself on some rotation between assets. I've got one asset, which is, 95% pure profit. So if that asset's trading at $200 or $500, it has a huge impact on taxes. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't sell it at $500 because I didn't want to take the huge tax hit. The other angle, though, I like what you're saying, is it better to tax out if you're going to go down that path earlier than later? The answer is, does it really matter? At the end of the day, it's 20%. So if you can time it right and do it low, yeah, it makes sense. But even people like Plan B did it. You do take a tax hit and you do give up direct ownership moving to an ETF. But there's a new exciting thing. This is kind of the new frontier stuff. And I find this very fascinating. Once I had literally a very short window of time. You guys remember last week, I got into CEP. And then I heard about this asset, which is Strive from Vivek Ramaswamy. And I said, this is really interesting because what people can do, people like Peter Thiel and others, its asset Strive is going to be a new corporate holding company, similar to MicroStrategy. Technically, theoretically, not sure of the actual wiring yet, you could transfer 4 Bitcoin to this company and you get a stock equivalent, because it's structured as a 351B transaction, which will defer your capital gains tax on this, and you receive stock with a carryover. And if you sell the stock later, maybe you'll pay capital gains on that, of course. But that is kind of the interesting angle, one of the new frontiers that's coming out. Like, it is stunning to me to see all the innovation around Bitcoin financial jiu-jitsu these days. It's incredible. And everybody wants to follow the MicroStrategy playbook. They could have done it in 2020, but now all of a sudden it's a bona fide strategy to go follow. So everybody's trying to do it. So I really like this new asset thing, especially for people that have a lot of Bitcoin, OGs from way back in the day, like the Max Kaisers of the world. They could have 100,000 Bitcoin or more at a cost basis of less than $10. It would be logical for people like them just to throw a little bit into this Strive company tax-free, and they get ownership in an equity firm that could have the performance like MicroStrategy. I don't think anything can have the performance like MicroStrategy because that was a first mover advantage, but we'll see. Now, long-winded way, it's a complex question. I'm not a tax accountant, but quick summary. Your net proceeds, if you sell your 4 Bitcoin, I assume it's long-term capital gains, you pay 20% taxes. Your self-custody, you get, assuming it's 400K right now. Bitcoin's 104,600, so I assumed it's 100K for simplicity. Self-custody, and if you sell out, you get 320K. You pump that into an ETF. But self-custody, you still have the phishing and you don't get any yield. With the ETF, you got fees, you got custodian risk. But this asset, Strive Company 351B, you get 400,000 value and 0 taxes. But there is, of course, new forms of risk, company risk, tax complexity. So I suggest what I like to do is do a little bit of everything. Keep some in your go bag. You know how to use cold storage. Move some to the ETF. Time it right around taxes. And maybe if we see how the wiring is done for this Strive asset company, it might be worth throwing a bit in there too. We'll see. Mix it all up. It diversifies the risk and hopefully optimizes the return as well.